Welcome to this advanced lesson on metering modes. If you aren't interested in this topic, feel free to skip this video and go to any other lesson that interests you. Most cameras have three options for how the exposure or light meter works: spot metering, center-weighted metering, and matrix metering, also known as evaluative metering. We'll start with matrix or evaluative metering because this is the standard setting on most DSLR and mirrorless cameras. In this mode, the camera reads the exposure from all areas of your frame. Based off the lighting in the areas of your frame, it will tell you a balanced exposure for the entire scene. This mode might be the best option when you are running around with your camera in very diverse lighting situations. I use this mode quite a bit in shooting events, but with spot metering, your camera only evaluates the light around a single focus point. Typically, this will be the center point of your frame, but it can also be moved around to any other part of the frame with many different cameras. The camera will read the exposure of that specific point and tell you if it's exposed or not. Using the spot metering mode is good when photographing smaller subjects in a larger frame that has a contrasting exposure, such as a bright moon in a dark sky, or a dark animal in the middle of a snowy field. The spot metering mode also changes depending on where you are focusing. If you're focusing on something very close or very far, it will change the exposure reading. The center-weighted metering mode reads the exposure of the center point of the frame and the surroundings, ignoring the far corners of your frame. It doesn't take into account where you are focusing, but just what's in the center of the frame. This mode is great when you know your subjects are going to be in the center of your frame, like portraits. Now that you know what the different modes are, let's take a look at how they work with a demonstration.
So let's take a look at what the metering actually looks like and how it works. So I'm going to click on evaluative metering, and you can see how it's getting a general meter for it and is very well exposed all around. Let's take a picture. You can notice a little icon in the camera is a frame with a circle and two half circles on the top and bottom. Now let's take a look at spot metering. You can see how the exposure brightened up because the spot on this camera is dead center and it's metering for the back. So let's take a photo. Let's look at center weighted average, and you see how it got much darker. Now let's take a photo. Now, if you compare these three different metering modes, you can see how picking the metering mode really determines what your camera views as exposure.